Hello. The purpose of today's video is to show you what happens when AWS CLI is trying to obtain credentials. Now let's see this. I have an EC2 instance where Ubuntu operating system is installed. Let me try to connect to it. I'll connect to it using EC2 Instance Connect, which is browser-based shell. Now okay, so it's connected. Let me clear the screen. Now I will check whether AWS CLI is installed or not. So for that I will run AWS version, and if I am getting the version back, that means AWS CLI is installed. If it is not installed, you can check the AWS documentation on how to install it. Now let me clear the screen. Let me execute an AWS CLI command. So that could be AWS S3 ls, a simple command. Now as no credential is still configured, I am getting this unable to locate credential, and it is telling that you can do it using AWS Configure. Okay, we'll go to that. Before that, I would like to check that what is exactly happening inside. So I can run this, and I can run with a debug flag. Now once I run this with debug flag, what I am getting, if you see that it would give you all the steps in detail. Now you see that the CLI arguments are these S3 ls debug. Okay, now it's going, and it is trying to locate the credential. It starts with environment, then this assume role, and then SSO, then this shared credentials file. This shared credentials file is the file which will be created when I will execute AWS Configure command. Okay, and then finally it will try to locate the IAM role. If a role is associated with this EC2 instance, that role permission will be used by AWS CLI and to execute that command. And to get that permission and token, it would try to connect to this endpoint. Okay, this is known as IMDS endpoint, or instant metadata service endpoint. Okay, so and it would obtain the token. Once it will obtain the token, that token it would use to execute those command. Okay, now we'll go to that. So to that I have already, let me try to add a role to it. So I'll go here, let me select that EC2 instance, go here, security, modify IAM role, and I have already a role here associated here. So if I go here, I can show you exactly what the role is. Okay, so now I'm here. This is the roles, and that role name is EC2 full. So this is the role. If you see, it has that administrator access permission. It has all the permissions. Now I can update the role. Now the role is being updated, and it's now we can check here. We have to connect it again. Sorry, I have already the connection. Yeah, so let me clear the screen now. Now let me try to run this, and if you see, this time it got the response back. Okay, now if I try to see what happened inside, if I run this now, if you see that, yeah, it still tried to obtain those credentials from different places, and finally it tried to get the token from IMDS endpoint, and then it's showed that it found the credential, and this is the role name, EC2 full. If you see, this is the role name, and then it's loading the JSON file, and then it's going, and finally it got the token back. And this token it is using, this is a temporary token which AWS STS provides to this AWS CLI SDK, and then it executes, okay, the whatever we have given it to execute the command, and it obtained the result. Okay, now the question is fine. So now let me remove this role for the timing, and let me show it to you using AWS Configure way. Now let me go to action, security, modify IAM role, and I'll set to no IAM role, update, and I am detaching the role. Okay, done. It is detached. Now we can check that. Let me close this. We can go and we can check this by executing this, and the same thing came back. Okay, now I will try AWS Configure. Okay, now when I'll execute this. If you see, it is asking for AWS access key ID, so I'll put that thing, AWS access key ID. Okay, so I entered the credential, and if I go and if I hit enter, and these are the credentials you can find out, and I configured it. Now once I did that, you'd be able to find a folder in your home directory. So if I run it like ls, and if you see, there is a folder created .aws. Now if I go inside this .aws, you see there is two file got created, config and credentials. Now this credential file will hold this data. Okay, fine. Now how did I got this access key and secret key? For that you have to go to IAM. Okay, now I am in IAM. So you have to go to users and you have to add an user. Now once you this is the user I have. Sorry. Now this user has permission, this is to full access, and you have to go to security credentials tab, and here you can create the access key. Okay, let's create access key, and then you have to download that details, that access key ID and secret access key, and you have to paste it here. Once this is done, now if I try to execute the same command, AWS S3 ls, now if I run that, now this is saying access denied. The reason because this is access denied because I don't have permission. If you see, the permissions over here is easy to full access. Okay, now I can give the permission, and then it would be like if I give S3 add permissions, I have to go attach policy directly, and I can go S3 and S3 full access. Next, add permissions, and the permissions is added now. Now if I go here, if I execute the same command, I'd be able to get it takes some time. Now see, it got back the result. Now let us see what happened inside. Again with debug flag, if I execute that, now if you see, if you come, yeah, so if you see, this is the steps happened earlier. Now remember, earlier we had a more steps, but this time in the shared credential file, the moment AWS CLI found the credentials, it used that straight away. Okay, so this is the order of finding the credentials. So hope this helped you. Thank you for watching this.